Om Vakratunda Mahakaya Suryakoti Samaprabha Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada Saraswati Namastubhyam Varade Kamarupini Vidyarambham Karishyami Siddhir Bhavatu Me Sada Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Gurudeva Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hari Om and good evening from Niagara Falls. Destruction takes no time. If you think of the house that you're staying in, for a house to be destroyed, it takes no time. A fire, an explosion, who knows where I'm going with this point, but it takes no time. A friendship, to destroy a friendship takes no time. You say something wrong, you act in a wrong way, that friendship can be unraveled. Creation takes time. Now, if you think of the home you're staying in again, if you got to see it from its foundation to what it is now, it took a lot of time. If you designed your home, it took even more time. If you look at the friends around you, you first started off as acquaintances, and then that friendship was more and more nourished. So destruction takes no time. Creation takes time. For us to create a more virtuous personality, this will take time. When we understand that virtue development is a journey, then we're tuned into how this is possible. If we feel virtue development will happen immediately, then we're not tuned into this journey, and so it won't be possible. When you ask kids to eat roti or rice, what do parents do? They usually rip that roti up, or they separate that chaval. And they say, eat this much, now eat this much, now eat this much. And in time, it becomes attainable. So for us too, we've been studying what desire can do to us, what greed can do to us, what anger can do to us. And it seems impossible. How will I be less angry? But if you can reflect that we've been together now for 25 classes, we've studied together. If you're 1% more patient than 25 classes ago, then add another 25 classes and another 25 classes, and soon you will be 100% patient. Possible. Bhagavan Krishna uses the word shakyaha in chapter 6. Arjuna, it's possible to learn to contemplate. For us, it is possible to become more virtuous. Last week, we studied 2 shlokas that had the same message. And these 2 shlokas have the same message as the other 23 shlokas that we studied. And those other 23 shlokas are the same message that everything we've studied about in regards to Advaita Vedanta. In Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna describes all of us as a certain precious stone. And all of those near the chat room, what precious stone does Bhagavan Krishna compare all of us to? This is the Moha Mudgara course. How are we supposed to know Srimad Bhagavad Gita? Those are mutually exclusive, correct? Pearls. Bhagavan Krishna says every one of us is a pearl. And he says that he is the sutra. He is the cord that connects all of the pearls. Now, why is a pearl chosen? Why not a ruby? Why not a sapphire? Or in Sanatana Dharma, why not a lotus? A lotus is used for everything. Because you can see through a ruby. You can see through a sapphire. You cannot see through a pearl. We are unable to see ourselves. So a very choice precious stone is highlighted, and that Bhagavan connects all of us. Thus far, and specifically in the last two shlokas, we have studied endless strategies. There is no end to how many techniques that we have studied to feel Advaita, to believe in oneness. On a weekly basis, we take up one or two strategies to identify with a deeper aspect, to focus on qualities, to try to tune into existence. If you feel that these strategies are impractical, it's because you're not practicing. Once you practice, this becomes practical. But as long as you don't practice, obviously this will be impractical. Take any strategy up, take all the strategies up, but practice and feel Advaita. When we see ourselves as the self, we naturally will see others as the self. Then we don't have to go about making relationships and breaking relationships because there's only the self. Do you have to nourish the relationship you have with yourself? Do you ever break the relationship you have with yourself? Swami Tejomayananda shared in the shloka, he said the only relationship we should have is of love. No other relationship of parents and friends and acquaintances and co-workers and all of these. Just love. And this is so natural because we love ourselves. And that's why I said we don't make or break relationships with ourselves because there's only love. And the same has to flow naturally towards others. We shift to this week's shloka. And what am I going to ask you before I begin the shloka? How many of you have an altar in your room right now that you're studying in? How many of you prostrated at that altar? In Sadhana Panchakam, the 10th point of guidance that Acharya Shankara offers to his disciples, offers to all of us, is that our devotion to Bhagavan should be firm, not situational. I'm in the mandir, so I'm a bhakta, but as soon as I leave, I'm not. And when I was teaching this, the tactile point I had shared is that every room you sleep in, wherever, there should be an altar. So if you travel for work, if you travel for school, if you're visiting family, your altar should go with you. Okay? So certainly it should be in a place where you study, where you contemplate. This shloka 27 is a package. If we want to bring virtues into our lives, the whole package is presented here. Please repeat after me. Geyam Gita Nama Sahasram Dhyeyam Shripati Rupamajasram Neyam Sajjana Sange Chittam Deyam Dina Janaya Chavittam Govindam. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. Acharya Shankara says here, Geyam. Geyam means to engage in Gita. That is to sing, that is to chant. What should you sing and chant? Gita. How many Gitas are there in Sanatana Dharma? A whole lot. There's Bhikshu Gita, there's Gopika Gita, there's Sannyasa Gita. There's so many. But the Gita for us is Bhagavad Gita. So you should chant Bhagavad Gita. Not just that, Nama Sahasram. You should chant the 1,000 names. Sahasranama. Now how many Sahasranamas are there? A whole lot. There's Vishnu Sahasranama, Shiva Sahasranama, Lalita Sahasranama, and you can keep on going with that too. So, chant. How many of you enjoy chanting? By show of hands. How many of you are averse to chanting? Okay, I see some hands up. You can leave now. Why do you think there's such an emphasis on chanting in Sanatana Dharma? Why chanting is given such a prominent place? Because chanting helps to train us to concentrate. When you think chanting, you should think concentration. Okay, chanting and concentration. This is the emphasis on why chanting is important. And as you're concentrating, whatever you're concentrating on naturally is going to become closer to you. You will internalize it more. As an example, if you're concentrating on eating, won't you chew more? Won't you taste more? But if you're not concentrating on eating, you're swallowing food, you're not chewing food, correct? So with chanting comes concentration, and when we're concentrating, we get exposed to the subject. So for all of the people who chant Bhagavad Gita, you're bound to hear words that make you think. Like, what does ananya mean? What does sthita prajna mean? And on and on and on. So, chant. Now, once we chant, what the second quarter is saying is dhyayam. Dhyayam means to contemplate. Contemplate on what? Shripati. Who is Shri? Shri is Mother Lakshmi, and the Pati, or the protector of Mother Lakshmi, is Bhagavan Vishnu. So you should contemplate on Bhagavan Vishnu, the form, Shripati Rupam. And when should you do this? Ajasra means always. You should always be contemplating on the form of Bhagavan Vishnu. Now, which form? Some people love Bhagavan Krishna as a baby, where he has his own toe in his mouth and he's sitting on a leaf. Some people love Hanumanji as a wise guru with his gray hair, and he's looking not as bulky as he usually does. Any form that inspires love in you, that's the form that you should contemplate on. Now, let's pick up on this word Shri. In 2009, we had a Balavihar conference at Chinmay Vibhuti. Swami Tejramananda was facilitating this, and he had asked all of us, all people who were working in the field of Balavihar, how do you know if you're a successful Balavihar teacher? How many of you teach Balavihar by a show of hands? Teach a class on a weekly basis. How many of you are involved with coordinating Balavihar, some sort of work related to Sunday classes? Okay. How do you know if you're a successful teacher? How do you know if you've fulfilled your responsibility? And what Guruji had shared, he said, if the student that you're teaching develops a love for the Lord, you are successful. So they may not know all of the shlokas that you're teaching or all the stories, but if they come to love Bhagwan, more you are successful. Recently, a mother told me that her son can't wait to go to Bharat because he wants to see where Bhagwan Rama walked. And I was so happy to hear that because it shows what Balavihar is doing to this boy. And he's getting to know who Bhagwan Rama is, and so he wants to know more and more and more about it. Now, for all of us who grew up in North America, who have studied in North America, the idea of loving God is not so natural. You know, we're more intellectual than faithful. If loving the Lord is the gauge for a successful Balavihar teacher, now we've studied this, who is the Lord? The Lord is virtues, endless virtues, infinite virtues. So if a Balavihar student has a love for becoming more disciplined, to develop more integrity, more honesty, if they start to love that more, again, successful Balavihar teacher. So when we say dhyayam, that you should contemplate on Shri, that means the form of Bhagwan Vishnu, of Mother Lakshmi, but that's not just with your eyes, it's to invoke the same virtues that they are the form of, that they are the embodiment of. And this word dhyayam is very powerful. It means to merge. Dhyaya means to merge. So I am the contemplator. Integrity is what I contemplate on. What should happen to the contemplator? The contemplator should merge with that altar, with that purpose. That's what real contemplation is. Everyone's with me? So chanting, concentration. We get exposed to the subject. Now that we're exposed to this, we should contemplate, we should internalize this more and more, where we become more and more like that altar. Next. Neyam sajjana sange chittam. Neya means to lead, like Nayaka or Niti. So we have sing, contemplate, and now we have lead or direct. What should we lead or direct? Chittam, the mind. Whose mind? Your mind. Lead yourself by leading your mind towards sajjana sange. Sajjana is actually two words, sat, jana. Sat means noble. Jana means people. Becomes sajjana. By associating with noble people. In other words, when you're trying to think of how to use your time, if you're following leadership, you should be trying to be with people who are noble. People who are trying to sing, people who are trying to contemplate. In many of the last shlokas we studied, Acharya Shankara's disciples are sharing how being impatient doesn't make any sense. Being lusty doesn't make any sense because there's only you. I've been trying to practice this more and more with our studies. When I see people I have to interact with, in my mind, I'm visualizing that they're Bhagwan that's disguised as the person wearing whatever shirt or having whatever hair or skin color or age. So I actually play a game in my mind that there's Bhagwan, but Bhagwan has disguised themselves to come in, talk to me or test me or whatever that relationship brings upon itself. And when I visualize this, that interaction becomes much more smooth. I feel that I'm more patient, and I almost laugh in my mind like, Bhagwan, I know that that's you, and you think I don't know, but I know that that's you. And so it becomes fun. It's like when Bhagwan Rama met Hanumanji for the first time, what did Hanumanji look like? Like a vatu, like a young boy with that dhoti that's too puffy and it's kind of falling down and his hair is really shaved tight but it's uncomfortable, like that. And Bhagwan Rama is just standing there. Keep talking. I know who you are. So if we can do the same, then we will see that every interaction we have is satsang. See, when we think of satsang, it's we have to go to satsang. You don't have to go to satsang. You have to invoke satsang. Wherever you are, the choice is yours. See, all of you are technically in satsang right now, but if the person beside you keeps cracking their knuckles, then you're not really in satsang, not really in satsang, are you? You keep wanting to tell that person to stop, but you're not supposed to tell them, correct? If you read, well, you will read what Swami Chinmayananda has written. There's a very lovely line where he says, when you're in satsang, what happens is, I've written down, you stay warm to live up to your ideals. You stay warmed up to live up to your ideals. Okay? So we have these ideals, but when we're not around positive people, those ideals become smaller. We become smaller. But when you have ideals and you're around idealistic people, you stay tall. You keep holding on to those ideals. You've all experienced that before. When we're around people who love to sleep, don't you love to sleep too? When you're around people who love desserts, because we have to have desserts after our meals, then you start to eat it too, even though you don't have that habit. But since you're having dessert, I should have dessert. Out of politeness, I will also dine with you. To be careful about the people that we're around because they facilitate our ideals. And finally, the last quarter, deyam. Deya means to give. So everyone's looking at me. What was the first verb? Beautiful poetry. Looking at me. Everyone's still staring at their books. Geyam, chant. Then deyam, contemplate. Neyam, which is to lead. And now deyam, which is to give. We should give to the dina janaha. We should give to those people who need help. Now, some of us may think, but we don't have enough to give. We don't know what to give. It is Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi who has shared, there is not a single moment when man doesn't have the opportunity to serve. Not a single moment where we cannot follow this. Now let's think about this some more. Okay, and it says give vittam. Give vittam means give what you have. What do we have? We have resources. More deep than that is time. And more deep than that is effort. Can we all give resources? Now there's a lot of students in our class who have intense student loans. So you may not be able to give your resources, but you can give your time then, correct? You're all thinking, no, but you can give your time. Now you're all thinking, now some of the people who are working professionally, but I don't have time. You can give your effort though, right? Your self-development is societal development too, no? There's actually a whole sequence whereby dana or generosity comes. Now I want you to think about this, okay? There's three parts, cause, effect, cause, effect. If generosity is the effect, where does generosity come from? Why would you be generous? Why would you be generous? You will be generous only when you are grateful. The more grateful you are, the more generous you are. The more generous you are, the tendency is that you're more grateful. So generosity is the effect, gratitude is the cause. But there's still a deeper understanding. Now I'm putting grateful as the effect. What is the cause of gratitude? What is the cause of gratitude? Being aware. Being aware of how much wealth you have. You feel grateful, you feel generous. Being aware of how much time you have. You become grateful, you become generous. Being aware of the opportunities that we have. And putting that as effort, we become grateful, we become generous. So you see, in this last line, secretly, what Acharya Shankara's disciples are sharing is, though we're giving to others, who's the beneficiary in this? We become more grateful, we become more aware. So in this last quarter, what Acharya Shankara's disciples saying is, help others. People need help. We can help. So help others. If someone asks a kid, what do you want to do when you grow up? I wish they said help others. That's what I want to do. What do you live your life around? Helping others. Simple. We complicate purpose. We complicate professions too much. Just help others. With this, we now complete another section of our Moha Mudgara course. So what have we completed? The first shloka is the chorus of Bhaja Govindam. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam, Bhaja Mudamate. So what is the one word that's been highlighted in every class? Mudamate. So that's not changed, okay. The next 12 shlokas or verses, who are they attributed to? Acharya Shankara. So you have this one shloka, and the message is bhaja. Sing, seek, serve, worship, love, be. The next 12 shlokas are a commentary on the one shloka. The next 12 verses elaborate on the one verse. This was called the Dwadasha Manjarika, the 12 flowers. Then the next 14 verses were an elaboration on the 12, which is an elaboration on the 1. So one verse, we've now studied 26 verses that are simply elaborating on that one teaching, which is to evolve what we're doing, evolve what our purpose is. So with this shloka, that is shlokas 14 to 27, we've completed the Chaturdasha Manjarika. Now we've smelled another 14 flowers. And now as we wrap up our course and we wrap up Bhaja Govindam, 28, 29, 30, 31, the last 4 verses are a summary of all of the prior verses. Bhaja Govindam is very much like Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 2 of Srimad Bhagavad Gita is the table of contents. In Bhaja Govindam, it's Shloka 1 is the table of contents. Then you have all of the chapters in Gita, you have all the shlokas in Bhaja Govindam. Then the last chapter of Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, is a summary. What did we just study? And in Bhaja Govindam, it's the last 4 shlokas are a summary of all that we've studied. Oh.